Hello, my brother. I want to remind you of a time not too long ago where men did not wake up to the sound of an alarm clock. They didn't jump in their car to battle rush hour traffic to get to the factory or the office or to the cubicle. But there was a time not too long ago where men woke up with the sun. They woke up to the land. They woke up to their own hands that would work with Mother Nature and the earth to provide and nourish and supply all the necessary things for human survival within their tribes and villages. Where the authority they responded to was to provide and protect for the people that they love. And fast forward nowadays, where we've handed over that authority to a boss, to a factory, to an office, and we no longer work for ourselves, providing for the people we love, but we work for a paycheck instead. And in this video, I want to talk a little bit about how we got here so we can understand where we're going next. Because if we don't follow the trajectory and the path of where we came from, we'll have no agency and choice and power over the choices we make in the future. So I want to help you to understand how we got here in the first place. If you just go back not that long ago to the turn of the century, my grandparents were in Ireland. They were dirt poor. They were starving. They were penniless. They were drunk. They were desperate. They were fearful. And they needed to leave. What happened prior to that was that the English government came in and systematically starved Irish people. Millions of them. There was also the potato blight. But what happened was the landlords, the lords of the land coming from the royalty, would come into the villages in Ireland and say to the men, "You're not going to work your land anymore. You don't dig up those potatoes. You don't fish the fish. You don't raise the chickens and the cows and the pigs. You go to the factory and you make a shilling and you give me, the landlord, you pay me now for the right to stay on this land. This is not your land anymore. This is our land. I'm the landlord. You work in the factory and we'll take your food and sell it." And that's what they did. They took the food that native Irish people have been harvesting for thousands of years off the sea and the land of Ireland, told them they could no longer work that land and provide for their villages and their family, and had to report to the factory and pay a wage to the landlord. Now, fast forward to modern day, instead of us listening to the land, listening to our intuition, listening to our true nature as men, we instead report to the factory, and then the factory became the office, and the office became the cubicle, and now it's the computer and the corporate bosses who pretty much require us to submit to their authority for a paycheck so we can buy all the things we used to naturally get from the land. Well, why am I telling you this? There's a reason I'm telling you this, and it might be closer than you think. Because for thousands, tens of thousands, should I say hundreds of thousands of years, human beings had agency, meaning they did not require someone else to come in and feed them. They didn't require a government to come in and give them welfare. They didn't require food banks and grocery stores. They were directly connected to their survival, providing nourishment with their own hands, hunting, harvesting, fishing, gathering, all the things necessary to provide from the bounty of Mother Nature. But when that right was taken away, the new norm of society became go work for a wage. And when we did that, we forfeited our direct connection to our survival. And we became dependent upon that green paper. We became dependent upon that system, the matrix, the society, corporate structure, whatever you want to call it. We became dependent upon that system. I mean, how many of you out there actually procure your own food? How many watching this right now hunt or fish or forest or farm? I'm not talking about having a little herb garden on your countertop or occasionally going fishing. I'm talking about on a regular basis where the sustenance and the majority of what you consume nutritionally comes from something you've harvested on your own. Well, some people still live like that, but a lot of people don't. And The reason is because we've never been taught those skills. Now instead we've been taught, be a hard worker, be a good worker, be obedient, listen to authority. When they say jump, you say how high. And we've literally forfeited our direct connection to survival. Like right now, if you were dropped in nature, you wouldn't survive. You would probably die of starvation, cold, lacking the ability to build shelter and find food that you need to nourish yourself and keep yourself healthy. But if we were born into a world where we were taught those skills from a very young age, we would have learned how to become hunters, gatherers, fishermen, warriors. And we would have had a direct connection with the land, not needing the factory, the bosses, the businesses, or the banks to give us paychecks. So why am I telling you this whole story? Well, I'm telling you this story for a reason. Because people keep talking about AI and what the implications are. And let me tell you something. When they started building their structure of making things, producing things, and using the blood, sweat, and tears of men to procure that labor, they forced all the men off the farms, off the connection to nature, to work in their factories. Okay, they disconnected us from our natural ways. Understood. With AI, all those factories, the workers, are going to be replaced by robots. And in all those office buildings and cubicles and all the other jobs, they're going to be replaced by AI. So the question is, when they needed you, they kicked you off your land and disconnected you from your source, from your connection to nature and other men and the village and the tribe and the community. And why do you think we suffer with this loneliness, this feeling of emptiness, lack of meaning and purpose? Well, because we were literally taken away from our purpose. Then we were given proxy purposes. Oh, become a good worker, work at this job, make lots of money, and we'll give you a bonus and a gold watch when you retire. And that was given to us as our purpose. Well, I got news for you. When AI comes in and takes over all of the jobs in the factories and the offices, where are all the men gonna go? What are they gonna do? Because we used to respond to the authority of the sun, of the rain, of the moon, of the land. And then we responded to the authority of the foreman, the whistle, and the paycheck. And now, if the foreman and the whistle and the factory and the office and the paycheck, if they don't need us anymore, well then where do we belong? Where are men gonna go? If they don't need men to report to the factories, the offices, and the cubicles, where are men gonna go? The reason I'm asking you that question is because you may be a man listening to this, and you may need to make a decision about where you're gonna go. This may be the great return to the village, the modern village, the great return to the garden, the great return to the forest, the great return to the ocean, the great return to Mother Nature herself. And instead of responding to the authority of another man, of the landlord, of the foreman, we are going to respond directly to nature and decide, hey, this is how I choose to live. I choose to live intentionally. I choose to live with purpose. I choose to live connected to the source of my health and well-being, to the natural world, to my food, to harvesting and hunting and being a part of nature and being a part of each other, being a part of community. And when you think about it, when they sent all the men to the factories, when they sent all the men to the cubicles, what happened to the children? The children were told, all right, well, now go to school. And who raised the kids at school? It was women. So now all of our young boys are not being taught how to be men by other men. They're being taught how to be subservient, obedient, compliant boys. And that's not what a man is. That's a boy that's preferable to a woman who wants to control this feral wild child, but it doesn't honor the truth of who he is, a natural, curious explorer, adventurer, a hunter and gatherer. And so we repress and suppress all those natural inclinations that a young man has to be this wild animal and survive on his own and provide and protect for his family and village. And we've told him and said, sit down and be a good boy and we'll give you a gold star. But nobody ever teaches him how to become a man. And the women that are running these schools, I mean, they are heroes because essentially they are taking on the responsibility of raising other people's children and teaching them the best that they can. They are extremely limited in their capacity to provide this structure and the guidance and the support that young men need. That requires real men and fathers who would have been showing their young men, their young children, grandsons and nephews, how to work with the land, how to harvest, how to grow food, how to hunt, how to fight, how to fish, all the things. And so if we don't teach young men how to do those things, they'll have no ability to choose a new life intentionally of how to survive off the land. So I hope you understand the implications of what it means for the modern society to have taken men away from the land, forced their labor into the modern factories and cubicles, and now you withdraw that purpose and you're going to put them back out into a land that they are simply not prepared to interact with and survive from. And so my question to you would be, how do you want to live? When the Great Reset comes and AI takes over all the physical work and the administrative work and all of the building, and men are no longer needed to report to the foreman, where are you going to choose to report to? When you don't have a boss, another human being, telling you what to do and how to be, where you should be at what time, what are you going to choose to do? Because there'll be no boss to tell you what to do. You'll be your own boss. Survival will be your boss. And so instead of reporting to that foreman or that factory, you'll be reporting to protecting and providing and feeding and nourishing. So instead of looking to a boss to tell you what to do, you become a wise elder and an old man that bestows knowledge upon the new generations and helps them to thrive and survive and pass down the stories and all of the skills necessary to survive and thrive in a healthy way, taking care of each other, connecting with nature, connecting with purpose, connecting with taking care of each other, because I truly believe that's what we were meant to do. We were meant to take care of each other. Our job as human beings, we were born to this earth to care for and love and guide and support each other. It takes a village, not just to raise a child, but it takes a village to take care of a man who's going through a difficult time. It takes a village to take care of a family who's going through a tragedy. It takes a village to take care of the elderly people who have gotten too old to take care of themselves. We don't need to lock people away in nursing homes or send kids to schools or give people jobs and awards and make them feel purposeful and meaningful, because if we give them a deeper sense of purpose by connecting them to their true nature, if men wake up and they use the hands that they were given by the Creator Almighty, and they provide food and nourishment for the people they love. If I would fight and die for you and your family, and you would fight and die for me and my family, do I even need to tell you that I love you? If my sense of purpose and meaning is automatically built into how I take care of the people that I love every day, putting my life on the line, if I would spill my blood and sacrifice myself for you and yours, and you would do it for me, do I need to tell you that I love you to convince you? Or would you know it in your bones that my very existence was to provide for you and your family, to protect for you, and you would do the same for me, and we do that for each other? That is our meaning and purpose. But we forgot that because we had it taken away from us, and we were told to go to the factory instead, to go to the office instead. So if we start this great remembering and this great return to the village, if we start to really tap into the power of presence, take a walk in nature, take a deep breath, start to recall what it meant to chop your own firewood and hunt your own food and harvest your own fruits and vegetables. Remember what it meant to be self-sufficient and interdependent, where you and other people work together to take care of each other. It's a great remembering, and it's a great return. And I will say this, if you're gonna make that great return, let's keep ourselves healthy, practice self-care, keep ourselves physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually grounded and strong and healthy. And in that way, if we choose that intention, when the factory jobs get replaced and when the cubicle office jobs get shut down and there's no place for us to go anymore, when you choose, what will you choose? How will you choose? And will you be ready? Anyway, I hope you are ready. And until then, until you have to make that decision, take care of yourself and each other. And thanks for watching.